Welcome into Sportsmemo's betting podcast for June 20th. We're talking the MLB card for tonight's action, Thursday night's action with Robbie Vino. Rob, welcome into the podcast. How are you?
I'm doing great today, Drew. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. We got a slate of games here, some good matchups, some matchups that might be postseason matchups, quite possibly. But let's start off towards the top of the card, 7:05 Eastern, 4:05 Pacific first pitch here in the NL East. 9:03, 9:04 Philadelphia at Washington in our nation's capital here, Robbie. We got Pivetta on the hill for Philadelphia, and it's pretty much a pick-em price here. 10.5 being the total. Where are you looking to go here in this NL East matchup, Robbie?
Yeah, it certainly becomes, I don't want to get too dramatic, Drew, but it becomes almost a must-win for Philadelphia, right? They get swept in that doubleheader yesterday after being postponed the first 2 days of the week. Bring out Nick Pivetta today against Eric Fedde. Heavy money on the Phillies right now. So I think that, aside from maybe some anti-Fedde money being bet, I can't see this being pro-Nick Pivetta money, that's for sure. His numbers the last couple of games have been halfway decent, but certainly Nick Pivetta has been an inconsistent pitcher to deserve the type of line movement that we see in this game. Phillies lineup has been a little bit shook up. Certainly they've tried different formations of that lineup. Now with Gene Segura at the top of the order, they didn't generate much yesterday, and this could very well become a battle of the bullpens, Drew. And the question there becomes, which one of these two teams do you want when you get down to the bullpens? Both sides terrible in that case. I saw the line movement, but I'm not thrilled with the Philly side right now. Just not playing well offensively. The pitching doesn't thrill me here, and the Nationals seem to be generating some type of momentum here in this series. They came in, and Davey Martinez, the manager of Washington, actually earmarked this series. It's going good for them the first two games. Like I say, if I just go offense, starting pitching, relief pitching, I can't see any true edges for the Phillies here. So a little bit surprised at the huge line movement. For me, it would probably be the Nationals or nothing. Also, there's been a huge push on the total from 9.5 up to 10.5. I don't have an opinion on that one either, but certainly a big game for the Phils.
Yeah, Robbie. And guys out there, thanks for tuning in. We apologize for the sound difficulties, and Robbie is off location here, so we'll hopefully have it better for tomorrow's college football. But moving down the hill, we'll just go quickly through some games, try to get the listeners on the right side here, Robbie. We got Houston at the Yankees, Valdez versus Green. Looks like a total of 10 in Yankee Stadium. Minus 130, the Yankees laying with this behind Green. And, the Yankees playing well, Robbie. They just swept Tampa Bay. Houston just got swept by Cincinnati. So two teams that a lot of people would think, quite possibly playing in to go to the World Series, in the playoffs here. But two teams at this point in the season going in opposite directions of recent. However, both teams are getting healthier. How would you look to bet the Astros and Yankees tonight?
That's an interesting starting pitching matchup, Drew, because you have basically two relief guys starting here in roles for their team, kind of as replacement pitchers, but Chad Green for the Yanks and Valdez for Houston. They've both done a real good job when they've taken the hill. So if you take a look at the splits here, the Yanks against left-handed pitching, it hasn't been their forte all season long. Some of that due to the fact that they've been banged up, and maybe with the addition of Encarnacion and Stanton into the lineup, their left-handed numbers offensively will improve. Houston hasn't been as dominant against righties as they have against lefties. And again, injury certainly has hurt the Astros. They get Jose Altuve back last night, helps make that lineup a little bit deeper. Both bullpens here rested and ready to go. The best arms for the Astros can throw. The best arms for the Yankees can throw. In this case, I think I would just look toward underdog value, Drew. Houston comes off of a bad offensive series against Cincinnati. That series was a little strange only because of the delays in the games due to rain. 2 of the 3 games certainly delayed by rain. Bad weather across that 3-game series. Reds take 3 low-scoring matchups. I'd expect Houston to come a little bit more ready to play here. Remember, they get a DH back. They didn't have a DH in that Cincinnati series. Yanks lineup is going to be difficult. There's no question about it with the additions of the two right-handed power hitters. But I still think that Houston has as much on the offensive side. I give them a defensive edge as well here. The Yanks have a lot of guys out of position now that fit a lot of home run bats into their lineup. So I think Houston plus price here. We've seen some movement on it. Astros taking some money. I'd probably be on that side as well here. Pretty good price for Houston plus, I don't know, somewhere around the $1.25, $1.30 range.
We got 909, 910 up next. Cincinnati at Milwaukee. Rourke versus Nelson. This is a game I like, Robbie. I'm on Cincinnati plus 125. We just talked about it. Cincinnati just swept Houston, playing good baseball, pitching well, bullpen pitching well. Rourke last time out, 7 innings, 2 earned runs. Jimmy Nelson, on the other hand, for Milwaukee, last time out I faded him. He has not been good this year. His velocity is down coming off of the injury. Milwaukee, plus the fact, spot-wise, terrible spot here for Milwaukee after an 8-game road trip, first game back home. I don't like that as a profile to bet on. These guys are humans getting back home, got things to do, whatnot. And plus the fact they just flew back from San Diego to Wisconsin. That's not the easiest flight. Now I have to play a game here tonight. So I bet Cincinnati plus 125 before we started here this morning, Robbie. But how do you look to bet the Reds and the Brewers?
Yeah, I think, there should be a little more focus put on the Cincinnati pitching staff. Drew, you hit on it, that they're pitching well right now, but surprisingly, how well they've pitched all season long. You go through the numbers, major league numbers, and you find Cincinnati, the number 3 team in ERA in the major leagues, the number 5 team in WHIP at 1.23, the number 4 team in batting average against, teams only hitting 232 against the Reds pitchers this year, ranked 6th in on-base percentage, only allowing 30.6 base runners to get on base, and number 4 in OPS. Cincinnati ranks almost in the top 5 in 6 major pitching categories right now, and I think it goes really unnoticed because the offense has been so poor. These pitchers have deserved a lot better fate this year. I've talked about it before. Turner Ward, the hitting coach who came over from L.A., seemingly has ruined the Reds lineup. They're going to get Scooter Gennett back in the near future, which probably will help somewhat, but you go down the Cincinnati lineup, Drew, and check these batting averages, on-base percentages. They're following exactly what Turner Ward's philosophy is, which is either hit a home run, strike out, or walk, the true 3 outcomes. And it hasn't benefited this team. When you see Joey Votto hitting as poorly as he has this season, and I'm not saying that the hitting coach wrecked him, but the whole philosophy here just didn't work for L.A. last year when push came to shove in the World Series. That was a team that just hit home runs, and really when matched up against Boston, a more contact-style hitting team, they were overwhelmed. That's happening to the Reds right now, but they're scoring enough to get wins. I think this pitching staff deserves a lot of credit. Tanner Roark, last couple of starts, hasn't been great, 5 ERA in his last 2. However, the 31 strikeouts in his last 28 innings pitch indicate that he's still got really good stuff here, and maybe just the beneficiary of some poor offense, or non-beneficiary of poor offense is probably the better way to say that. So I'd be with you. I don't know that Jimmy Nelson's right yet. Hasn't looked good in his first 2. I don't think he's got 1 out. Maybe he's gotten 1 out in the 4th inning in his starts since coming off the IL. So I think there's still a little bit of work to do there for Jimmy Nelson. Cincinnati seems to be red hot. And if you read some player quotes this morning, Drew, they're excited. They took that Houston series of as an extremely important one. And now, guys, 3-game sweep are having that importance carry over to a divisional series here. So I'm with you. I like Tanner Roark here in the Cincinnati Reds. Milwaukee's kind of had their number head-to-head overall, but I think the Reds are probably the right side here.
And guys, we got one more game. Again, sorry for the technical difficulties in the sound. Hopefully the winners are what we can give you, though, tonight. So hopefully Cincinnati cashes for the podcast play here. But we got a late night action game, Robbie, a good one here. And also, guys, remember to check out sportsmemo.com. We do have the Days of Summer promo. It's $5 per day if you buy the package. Get you all the way up through football season, up to football season, for only $199. That gets you all the way through the summer. Great deal there at sportsmemo.com. Available for all the handicappers, and we do have some handicappers in fine form with plays up on tonight's slate. We got Teddy Covers in with a Ride the Hot, Fade the Cold. Nick Borman killing Women's World Cup if you like betting soccer. Also on the MLB diamond, some guys doing well. I'm up 20% since May 1st, so stuff to look out there on tonight's late slate as well. So check out sportsmemo.com for a bunch of betting action. In MLB, we got CFL also week 2, so we've talked about it a lot, Robbie. It's great to be betting these sports in the beginning, especially sports like the CFL, so check that out. Andrew McGinnis, week 1, 3-0. And now he's coming back at it week 2. So Canadian resident there, professional handicapper north of the border, has big plays up in the CFL. Check out sportsmemo.com. Last play up, Robbie, the night slate. We got the nightcap here, Tampa Bay at Oakland. Good one here. Charlie Morton versus Frankie Montaz. Good pitching matchup here. Tampa just got swept by New York, Robbie. Lost 7 of their last 9. Also, Yadi Diaz, their third baseman, 11 home runs on the season. Over an 800 OPS, just hit the shelf, so he's not going to be in the lineup. And Montez, whatever it is, he's got that fastball changeup combination. He's really worked on his changeup. He has more wins this year than his last 3 years combined. He is pitching very, very well. 19 Ks in his last 12 innings for Oakland. So should be a fun one to watch tonight. Tampa Bay at Oakland, having to make that. It's kind of a battle of the sleepiest stadiums here in MLB, but nonetheless, it will be a fun one to watch on the West Coast. Late night action. How would you look to bet it, Robbie?
Yeah, the bettors really attack the under right off the bat, Drew, and I've pushed this game from 8.5 to 7.5. You can't really argue with the theory that goes along with that. Oakland at night, the ball doesn't travel. You've got 2 outstanding starters on the hill. You've got 2 bullpens with capable arms at the end, although I will say Blake Trinan, the closer for Oakland, has not been the same closer as he was last season. But Morton and Montas more than capable of getting through 7 innings each. Charlie Morton's last outing against the LA Angels struck out 9 guys in 6 innings. He was overpowering with a lot of his stuff, but when he made a mistake, the Angels deposited it into the bleachers. So he gave up 3 home runs, which led to the loss, and it broke a streak of Charlie Morton's, which was Tampa Bay 11 straight wins with him on the hill. That came to a screeching halt. They'll look to restart that streak again. They need him tonight because, as you mentioned, they've been in somewhat of a downward spiral right now. Montas for the Oakland A's, interesting article on him that I read a couple of weeks ago, where he, in the off season, had to develop a third pitch because he couldn't get by with just the 2 pitches that he had, the fastball changeup. So he developed a splitter, and unbelievably, it's become his best out pitch right now. So the 3-pitch combo has really worked. Frankie Montas facing a lineup, as you said, that will be without Diaz, but with Joey Wendell now back in the lineup. It's kind of like spring training for him, though. I think he's batting like 103. He's only had 33, 35 at-bats total. So he's got to get back into the group. Looks to be like a real pitcher's duel here, and we'll see what it comes down to with the bullpens at the end. But like I said, both of these teams have capable arms. I wouldn't expect any late explosions. The 8.5 to 7.5 kind of got me off the total at this point in time, but the guys who took that thing under at 8.5 probably have the right side here.
Robbie, good stuff as always. We'll have you on tomorrow breaking down. What are we breaking down, Robbie? The Big 12?
We have Big 12. We're going to split it into 5s, and I think we'll go alphabetically. So we'll start with Baylor tomorrow and end tomorrow's show with Oklahoma. Everything else in between, the 2 Kansases and Iowa State.
All right, Robbie. And guys, thanks for tuning in. Sorry again for the technical difficulties, but nonetheless, hopefully there's more wins than losses we talked about. And best of luck with your bets tonight. We'll be back with Robbie Vino talking college football. Never too early to start previewing college football from a betting perspective. So stay tuned for tomorrow's podcast, and best of luck with your bets, guys.